disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, I believe we're beginning with bringing the motion from closed session from last evening forward to vote on an open session. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for what's on the screen. Moved by Councillor Finn, second by Councillor Harrigan. Any questions? Seeing none, I will call the vote.
All votes are in. Motion passes 17-0.
Did we have any new information tonight, or maybe just an update on what the current budget impact is?
Thank you, Mr. Budget Chair. We're currently at 3.96%.
Thank you. So I've got a list of a couple of speakers. Was there anyone else that wanted to be added to the bottom? Oh, did you have one? No, okay. So I have Councillor Sakachi, followed by Councillor Bondi, and then Councillor Harrigan. Councillor Sakachi?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to revise a motion that I brought forward yesterday, that the option 3, the dust suppressant program, be reinstated as a revised pilot program, providing 2 treatments of dust suppressant adjacent to residential driveways as indicated in a dust suppressant level of service business case, be implemented from 2026, only up to the amount of $1.1 million to be funded from the strategic reserve with no tax impact, and that administration include a business case in the 2027 budget update for the next council to consider base funding, including for potential modifications and additional applications through various methods and funding sources.
We have a seconder? Second by Councillor Anderson. Any other comments, Councillor Sakachi?
I've received some comments regarding the dust suppressant, spoke to a few individuals as well, and they're looking, a couple of people that I've talked to were looking at multiple treatments as well, saying that one wasn't enough. And I really think that we have to look at improving our current system. So I think that, you know, if we're getting concerns of one not being enough, what will that look like? 2 being in front of the households, will that be better? And it'll still be a cost savings overall, and trying to do it as a pilot project, you know, will allow for administration to bring back potential improvements and recommendations.
Thank you. Any other, Councillor Crew?
I probably didn't hear it, but is that funded out of a reserve? Okay.
It's not a lot of hands for a motion on dust suppressant, so I'm just looking for some more. Okay. Anyone else? John?
No,
Sorry,
I was just
Councillor
going to second his motion.
Oh, yeah, we got a seconder. Thanks. Okay.
And sorry, Mr. Chair, one addition.
Sure.
I did revert back to the motion yesterday, but just Councillor Wright just did remind me as well is that I did want to include the piece about the intersections that he did mention last night as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Councillor Wright, and then Councillor Story.
Thank you, Chair. Like Anthony's motion here, again, this is just a project pilot to try, and we could try it for 1 season, how it works out. If we get it done twice, we know it's not going to dry out that way. So it might be good to try it once and see how it works. Like, yeah, so thank you.
Councillor Story, was it on this motion?
Thank you very much. So how does this compare to what we were doing before?
So I think to Councillor Scotchy's explanation, the same motion that we had last night, same areas in front of houses and at intersections, but doing it twice.
Right, sorry, I should have been more clear. How does this compare to what we were doing as a municipality, our overall approach before? Thank you.
Edward?
Sorry, thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Prior to as per the report that we presented to council here, prior to the disruption of the service last year, prior to 2025, we had 1 application to each gravel road. It says here per season, but what I mean by season is once a year, because we don't apply in the winter, spring, or fall. So just during the summer. And that's touched up potentially in some of the areas. But so instead of doing all the roads once, this would do it at intersections and in front of homes twice a year. My only caution is doubling the cost that we've presented in the report by doubling the service may not actually be proportionally correct. So we'll have to put this out to tender and see what the cost is. It could be 1.1 million, or it could be, more or less, so.
Right, so just like when we discussed the motion last time, it would have to come back to tender prior to application, right?
Thank you. So we're authorizing up to 1.1 million, no matter what?
So it still have to come back to tender. So this is just Councillor Sakachi identifying a funding source that would be identified when that tender comes back, and an estimate about what that could be. But just like any tender, whether it's a bridge or a culvert or whatever it is, it could come back less or more as part of the procurement process.
Thank you. And if memory serves last night, Gord, did you say there was 2 million left in the strategic reserve? Or could you tell us how much is left in the strategic reserve? Thank you.
Approximately 2.5 million is where we started. Last night's motion was to take 550 out of that. Now we're changing it to 1.1 million. So we're starting at 2.5 and we'll have about 1.4 million remaining in that reserve.
Okay.
So I want to clarify, projected at the end of 2027 in the multi-year budget. When I said it's at 2.5 million, that's where it was projected to be at the end of the multi-year budget, and now it will be projected to be 1.4 million at the end of the multi-year budget.
If we don't, if we don't draw down from that for any further?
Correct. This strategic reserve, it's often used on Monday nights for random things that come up through the year, right? So we don't know what, with what we know now, there'll be 1.4 million remaining at the end of 2027, but we have 2 more years to go to get there.
Thank you. And how will we be replenishing that? How will we, that million, 1.1?
Yeah, so in the budget, there is a base amount going into that reserve. But that's already included in getting to that $1.4 million balance at the end of 2027, is with the 26 and 27 amount going into it.
So if that's already budgeted, we'd have to add an additional 1.1 million to get that number back up, or no?
Yeah, so I got it in front of me now. It's 1,343,000 is going into that reserve annually. There's already over in the 26 and 27 within the multi-year budget and this year's update, there's already 1.4 million coming out for other purposes. So that's where we were ending at, that $2.5 million value. This will now take $1.1 million out for 2026, and then you'll still be faced with a after the pilot, you'll be faced with the next council next November will be faced with a decision on what to do going forward and making a base budget decision on whether we're supplying. The pilot will be over, and it will be time to make a decision on permanently what are you doing with dust, and that will have to be an increase in taxation because we've already cut it in the 2025 budget.
Right, that's where my concern lies a little bit, is that we're certainly not against dust suppression at all. I just worry that we are moving these things further down the road, and we're going to have to find this money. And as we're already looking at, right now, a more than double tax increase next year and moving forward. So this, I appreciate all the reasons why it's necessary. It's just that we're adding a pretty substantial amount that we need to find again back to our base budget. So thank you.
Councillor Bondi, followed by Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's more of a process question. So as I emailed earlier today, I was intending to bring forward a motion for option 2, which is, so how does that work? If this passes, do I still do that, or?
So yeah, you can. So just as in budget, like we already passed the one motion on this we're revisiting it this way. There's no 2/3 voting or anything like that during budget deliberations, so the next motion could be to eliminate this program. And then we can go in any direction we want.
Oh, yeah,
So-
I thought that. I just wanted
Yeah.
to double check. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Councillor Doyle?
Thank you, Chair. That was going to be one of my questions. So, a couple things. So to me, again, the base budget program before, probably base budget program after, to me, we're just buying down our taxes with a reserve to do this. Just depends on who you are, I guess. But second question, so if somebody say we want to bring back number 2, but we want to make it a pilot project again for 1 year, and we get more information on other ways we can do this next year, can we still consider this a pilot project and use the reserve?
And any motion can come forward.
Okay. That's all. I think I'll support this, but at the same time, I think it would be better to do every single road, rather than do it this way for the way we've done it before. That seems to be what the majority of the public has wanted, so that's what I would rather support, but I'll support this as well.
Councillor Hall, followed by Councillor Crew.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question. I know when we brought this back for this year, we used a strategic reserve for that. What was the total for that this year?
Thank you, Mr. Budget Chair. What we spent this year for that partial application was about $350,000.
Okay, and what, last year at budget, or the budget update, I know we pulled the whole program out of base. What was that total?
I believe the total, through you, Mr. Budget Chair, was 1.4 million.
Okay, I appreciate all that, and I appreciate what Councillor Sakashi's doing with this, and I think we've heard lots of feedback. I appreciated Councillor Story's comments. I think she said a lot what I was thinking. We made the decision last year to pull this. We quickly brought it back. We're bringing it back now. We heard loud and clear, I think, from the community. And really, okay, we're making this a pilot project. We're taking out of reserves for a 1-year thing. We're just punting this to the next council. They're going to make that decision. So basically, how we were talking yesterday about if you pull from reserves or pull down the tax, the next council is essentially going to do this. So we're just call it our mistake or our decision that we made last year. We're giving this to the next term of council. So really, I don't know who's going to make a motion, but if we want to keep punting it like this, we should fix it. Just put it back into base. Thanks.
Councillor Crew?
Thank you. I agree that it feels like we're punting this down the road, but I think that this is a good way to see if this new way of delivering this service works. I don't know. I live in Chatham. We don't get much dust suppressant on our roads. So I rely on our rural councillors who live in the rural community to tell me what you need. And we did receive a lot of emails. When people say, do you get a lot of emails? Did on this from a lot of people because they were concerned about it. So I like the idea that this is a pilot. We get to test it out. Do we need two? Do we need one? What do you call it? One application, thank you. I think this is the best way to do it before we make, or the council of the day makes a base budget decision again, so that we do it right, just to make sure we have it right. And I agree, I don't want to punt things down the road. I am not a fan of that at all, but this thing just keeps coming back, so we need to get it right and then fund it properly. Thank you.
Councillor Story, followed by Councillor Wright.
Thank you. Fully agree with that. And if that's the case, then why don't we just make it base budget today? I don't think, staff's already done all the work on this. Asking them to go back and do a pilot and everything else, I think staff's already done all of that twice now in this term or more. So wouldn't we want to just save future councils the trouble, and just, if we all agree this is something we want to do, then we don't really need a pilot. Let's put it back in base now, and we can save everyone else the trouble in a year or two.
So I think that there's two issues in the motion. There's the pilot aspect is that it's a different way than it was done before. So I think that's what Councilor Sakachi's saying, that it was done once everywhere before. We know how that worked for like 30 years. So let's try it a different way. So I think that's the pilot aspect. So that's one aspect, is do we want to do it the same way or a different way? And then the second aspect is funding. Do you want to fund it while it's a pilot as one-time funding? Do you want to already put that amount into base? So I mean, I think it's kind of two separate questions. So you could say this motion could go through or not go through, and then you could try it the other way. Or it could go through and someone could say, instead of taking that out of reserve, put it into base budget. So you could still make that motion. So I think there's a couple things going on in the motion around, do you just want to do the same service we always did with the same results? Do you want to try something new to get that data? And then there's the funding question. So I think there's kind of two things going on there. I don't want to speak
Right,
for Councilor Sakachi, but I think that's what was in
No,
there.
that's fair. In that case, I would understand Councilor Sakachi's approach to find a compromise. I would not support this, and I would support putting it back in base, and we just rely on the staff expertise that have already presented to us on this, and we put it back in base, and we leave it at that. Thank you.
Councilor Sakachi?
Yeah, just to Councilor Story's point, I guess the reason why I brought it this way is staff's recommendation was to not come back to it, for it to not to be in base. So if Councilor Story is going to make the motion to put 0.76% back into the tax rate, I mean, as a representative, that's something that I would definitely support. But I mean, at the end of the day, I just gauging by what the recommendations were and previous talks, I just didn't think that there was an appetite to increase the budget by almost 1%. So if this fails and she brings it forward to increase the tax rate by 0.76, that's something I would definitely consider supporting as well. So if that motion's coming next, happy to speak on that next as well.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. And I think that
I was trying to find a happy
Yeah.
median, to have the service and not lose it and not cost not to put the taxpayers. And I thought this one might be a better way to increase and improve the service to the more dense areas. But happy to support Councilor Story's motion if she's deciding to make that motion as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think to that point, like when we went through this debate before, the staff recommendation was not to do it. So that was the staff expertise advice. And then Councilor Sakachi's recommendation is, if we don't think it worked that way, let's do it a different way. And then get data back on that approach. So I appreciate that difference. Councilor Thompson.
Actually, Councilor Sakachi made my points, and I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Any other, Councilor Wright, sorry, I forgot you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Back to doing it once, twice a year. Usually, on a year when you do it once, a lot of years it'll last the whole seasons, but there's always by September, it's starting to dry up again, where this way here kind of guaranteed that in front of the residents, it would hold the whole season once they put it down by going over it twice. So it's got good and bad points here. It's nice to have it all done, but we know it's going to get done and everything's going to get covered good in front of the residents. So it'll cut down the complaints. Number one complaint I have is dust in the summer months. That's the way it's always been because it dries out. So thank you.
Okay, so seeing no other questions, I'll call the vote on this one.
All votes are in. Motion passes 13-4.
Councilor Bondi, I had you next on the list.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'll make the motion that I sent in earlier, as I had mentioned, on option 2, which is reinstate previous level of service. Like, do you want me to read that? No,
I think you're good.
Yeah, all right. Okay, thanks. So the reason why I'm...
The one thing would just be funded how? Do you want base budget
Base.
item? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Reluctantly.
Yeah, just double check.
But I had a conversation over there that convinced me. Okay, so the rationale behind this is we took this out about a year and a half ago or so, whatever, 2 years ago, and it was a savings. The reason we took it out wasn't that it didn't work, is that we were told it didn't work. And then we heard loud and clear, oh no, it works. Put it back, leave well enough alone. So I voted to take it out because I was informed it didn't work. Then, of course, I was informed by the people that live there that it does work. So we brought it back. We didn't have time to complete the task of all the roads. Fair enough. I didn't bring it back early enough. So I think it's pretty simple. Like somebody just mentioned, we'd been doing this for 30 years. We got complaints about dust, sure, but not like last year when we didn't do anything for a little while. So it worked. It wasn't perfect, but I have a statement here, which I won't read in entirety because I don't have to, but everybody received it by email from the Kent Federation of Agriculture. And somebody had mentioned we'd like to hear from our rural representation on council. Well, this is the Kent Federation of Agriculture, and they state pretty clearly that the most effective way to accomplish a level of dust suppression is to do all the roads. And they have a statistic here that says 77% of dust complaints come from adjacent landowners, farmers. So what I've heard from these guys is the people that live in the residences, sure, obviously you get it, you're sitting at a picnic table. It's the crop damage that this does, where maybe these roads are very minimally traveled, but if there's crop damage, that is the #1 economic driver in this community. So to me, that's very important that we do all the roads. And I'm the last guy to add to the tax base, but it's almost not, well, it is, but this was there forever. So we're just putting something back that was effective. We took it out. It was admittedly a mistake. Council, collectively decided that we admitted that it was an error to remove it because we voted to put it back in, I think unanimously, actually. So that's my reasoning to go with option 2, is just leave it the way it was 3 years ago. Not perfect, but it worked. And again, doing full coverage on all the roads seems to have some sort of scientific evidence, and it has the support of the Kent Federation of Agriculture, which represents well over 1,000 farmers in Chatham-Kent. So that's that. Thanks.
Councillor, never mind. Councillor Jubenville?
Thank you, Chair McGregor. I will obviously support this motion. This is a need, it's not a want for our rural residents. And I think the KFA, I think it's more like 2,500 people. So I was sent a picture, I don't know if it went to council or if it came to me, but it was, somebody sent me a picture of a school bus picking up their children, and you could hardly see the school bus due to the dust. So they just wanted to, exemplify something tragic that could happen. God willing, it hasn't happened. But could you imagine school bus coming to a stop, another car not seeing the school bus taillights, and something tragic happening? It would be terrible if something like that happened, and it could very easily happen because this picture showcased this. It impairs dust on these roads that are not cared for. I don't know if many of you haven't traveled on gravel roads, some of them, when there is no dust suppressant on them, it's pretty dusty. It's really bad. So it impairs the vision of drivers, which causes a safety concern. The dust particles, it becomes a health hazard when they are inhaled. And these dust particles can float way beyond a property line. The vegetation, large amount of dust may stress the vegetation and crops. Again, our biggest economic driver. So this is going to therefore create lower yields if these crops are ladled with dust. The property values decrease on people who, on roads or properties on gravel roads, especially if they're not cared for. Also, the dust suppression products will hold the moisture to the gravel, which will reduce the loss of the gravel on the roads, which reduces the need to replace it constantly. So I just think this is something, we've had it for years. It's unfortunate that we removed it, but I think we learned our lesson, and I think it needs to be reinstated into our base budget. And I hope that council will support this. I know it's going to boost that increase back up, but I just think this is very important for our rural residents. they don't have a lot for a bang for their buck. They don't have garbage, they don't have water, they don't have sidewalks, they don't have lights. So all they want is safe roads. So, I mean, this would be comparable to turning off streetlights on some roads that aren't traveled well. So I think we really need to put this back into our base budget and look after our rural residents. Thank you.
Councillor Finn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Quick question, and I think I already know the answer. What does this add to the base budget as 1.457?
0.66.
Okay. Now, this is not an area rated tax, whereas street lights and everything else would be area rated, correct?
Correct, it's not area rated, that's a council decision.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Anderson, followed by Councillor Harrigan.
Thank you, and through you, Budget Chair. So I, as a rural councillor, I'm happy to put this back into base budget, but I'm also a person that will approve a 4.7% increase on budget. So if nobody has anything else to bring forward for a motion, then we're going to close budget at 4.7%, as opposed to doing a pilot project where we can then put the dust suppressant in front of the house where the bus is stopping and do 2 applications of that, not have an effect on our base budget, and close at 3.97. I mean, I will support this because as a rural councillor, and dust suppressant is important to our agricultural lands, sure. But I also want to discuss, like, the lower yield on crop is not from dust or dust suppressant being applied. There's always a lower yield on the outside of a crop because the moisture is drawn away from there. So it has nothing to do whether we do dust suppressant or not. There's going to be lower yield on the outside of crops, period. I liked the option of keeping our taxes at 3.97, but I mean, if those that are bringing this motion forward want to bring us up and close at 4.7, I mean, I'm happy to support that as well.
Councillor Harrigan?
Great minds in the West think alike. Councillor Anders said the majority of my comments. The only thing that I would add is that I think it's important for this to go. So thinking about this, I thought the pilot was a very novel idea. If the will of council is to put this back into base budget, I really appreciate the mover putting it into base budget because it's a service. And then when taxpayers and residents talk to us about some of the things that they're paying for, we can talk to them about the importance of dust suppression and all of the things Councillor Jubenville said, and there's that justification for that. I would like to see some conversation and opportunity around maybe optimizing the program that we have, right? Like if it truly is on every single road, like I'm thinking I live in the country and there's half a concession away from me, literally a road that just cuts a field in half. It's a gravel road. I think it is rarely used, if not only by the farmer and perhaps me when I'm going for long walks. So are there areas that could be optimized? I would love to see a report back on that. That's not a budget conversation. So supporting this going into base, and also to my peers' earlier comments, also would be supporting a budget that starts with a 4 as a result of this.
I'll go to Councillor McGrail for first comments and back to Councillor Bondi for second.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Perhaps a friendly amendment that, because I agree that, you know, we need to look at this, right? And in the best possible way to do this. So, you know, would you do a friendly amendment that, you know, come back with some maybe ideas to change? Because I agree with that. There is some roads in our area that, you know, I think a Big Point Road, okay? It's a middle of the road, no one really goes down it kind of type deal that, you know, could go without. So that's the only thing I'm thinking about. If there are those roads within the municipality that maybe we could eliminate to help save on something, that's all I'm asking for, that maybe, you know, not do what we did 30 years ago, but improve on it a little bit in efficiency and effectiveness.
I guess so, yeah. So the friendly amendment would be to like just examine the process, the application?
Yeah, I mean, you could put Yeah, that's kind of what we did previous. I mean, you could make a motion at a council meeting for a report back on program optimization, because it wouldn't have like a this year budget impact. So you could then ask at a council meeting, I'd like a report back on any alternative options for modifying the program. That could be a motion.
And I would hope we do that with everything we do, right? Look for best ways to do things. So yeah, sure, of course.
I don't think we always listen to that advice, but I think they do it often. Any other comments?
I do, sorry.
Oh,
So,
sorry,
yeah,
Councilor.
it's just because it says reinstate, right? So prior level of service, that's where I'm a little, like, so to me, that means go back to what we did 2 years ago. And what I think I hear loud and clear around here is that we know we want our roads done, but let's be more efficient and effective. So that's the only reason why I'm saying, because it does say reinstate.
Yeah, so it would be doing the same program that existed prior, but it wouldn't be a modification of anything else.
But you want us to come back in council and
I think you
do
can
a
make
motion
that.
for a modification.
I think you could make that motion in council. I think that Councillor Sakatchi's previous motion we already passed is like a modified version of a program that's prescriptive in what that would involve.
Yeah.
So we would already be doing that if we didn't pass this, but if we pass this, we wouldn't be doing that
Right,
program.
but then we'd be on a pilot where
Yeah.
this is bringing it to budget.
Yeah,
So
the
that's
oth-
the biggest thing here,
For
is
sure.
what I'm trying to figure out, is that piece of it.
Yes, so I mean, the other thing you could do, as we're in budget and can do whatever we want with motions, is you could, if this didn't pass, or if you wanted to bring a motion right after this, to go back to the pilot program, but fund it at a base budget amount, you could also make that motion. So you could say, I want to put in that 1.1 million instead of 1.457 to have into base budget for the program as described by Councillor Sakatchi's motion. You can make that to replace this afterwards. I mean, we can hang out and talk about, we can try as many things as we want.
I think it's just a reinstate a prior, because I think, and I appreciate, Councillor Sakatchi's, but Councillor Sakatchi's motion does not bring back roads, right? Whole roads. So that's the other piece of it. So they're very two different motions, right?
Yep.
So just the reinstate part of it, I like your part that says, let's look at this a different way and let's find a different way to do this efficiently and effectively, but as many roads as we can, kind of type deal. So that's the difference, I think, in it.
I think you should vote against that, mine, by the sounds of it.
Why?
Well, you don't like the reinstatement, which I think.
I just want a look, right?
Oh,
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I would hope we modify it if there's, like, staff would come to us, wouldn't they, and say, we're gonna change this, like, similarly, they would change the levels of chlorine in the pool, not to be, juvenile, but if they find a better way, I would hope they would say, let's do it a
I
different
know,
way.
we're saying reinstate.
Yeah, I'll just go back, I'll ask maybe Ryan or Edward for a comment on this, and maybe some history of what they recommended before and what other options could be available, either through motions tonight or through a council motion in investigating other programs.
Thank you, Mr. Budget Chair. I would say that we always are looking to optimize things, but if we're looking to change which roads this is being applied on, it's not a simple exercise. And what parameters are we talking about? I've heard many different comments tonight about where this should be, where school buses are. It's used for compacting gravel, all sorts of things. So we don't really have the parameters of what we're going to look at from this motion. We can go back and say, it's all dead-end roads or something like that. But then I'm sure we're going to have this debate here again, that someone's going to complain that we're not putting it on their road. So between now and the time we put this thing out to tender, I don't think we have time to resolve, any optimizations, quite frankly. So I would prefer that we just have some very clear direction on, you want to do X, Y, or Z, and we're going to apply that standard.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councilor Grill, floor's still yours, yeah.
Okay, so then my question is, after that comment, even with Councillor Sakatchi's motion, and looking at those options, you're telling me you don't have time to look at those options.
No, through you, Mr. Budget Chair, we did look at that option. That's why we presented those options in the report. And when option 3 was we would do it 100 meters on either side of the properties. So it's very defined where we're going to apply it.
But I think I'm questioning myself on how I understand that. That's what I'm doing here myself. But I thought in that progression of that, discussion, there was a little bit more to that with Councillor Sakachi's,
So,
as in
yeah, Councillor Sakachi
evolving,
had
right?
asked to put the intersections as well. as
Yeah,
in
but there was a
front of us.
little bit more of that too. Can we bring that up?
You want to see his
please?
old motion?
Yeah, I do.
Sure.
Because I'm questioning myself now because I thought there was a little bit more to that. That's like, let's redefine this. So what I'm understanding is outside of that 100 meters from the house and the cross sections, you don't really have time to further redefine.
Through you, Ms. Budget Chair, the motion that was given to us yesterday was very definitive. You shall do it around the homes and at the intersections. That's very easy for us to take back. The motion I'm hearing tonight is come back to us with an optimization based on an unclear criteria. Is it at the dead-end roads? Is it on roads that have schools, school buses on it? We'd have to assess it and gather council feedback on what are those criteria? And do you agree on those criteria? And then we'd have to put the tender together.
And I'll come back to Councillor McGrail. Councillor Sakachi was going to try and answer based on his motion, so I'll go back to him. You can have the floor again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to help clarify, so my goal was to put in place the service for 1 year, but during that course of the year, to also evaluate the process over that year to see if there's more optimum ways we can do things. One of the things that I heard from some residents were that they'd take 3 or 4 treatments if they had the ability to even pay for them extra. So it was also trying to develop other methods that we could have, like as a pay-as-you-go program, as well as different application processes. But this takes a long time to build up. I've seen some programs other communities use out west that I've forwarded to staff who've been very, very resourceful getting back to me. And it would give us a year to continue the process, as well as look at ways to do it more efficiently. Because what I hear from a lot of residents, Councillor Jubenville makes very valid points. Happy to put it back in to the budget, but I'm also understanding that some of the councillors are going to put it back in and still say no, regardless of what we do. So that was an opportunity to keep the tax rate low, look at efficiencies, still keep it in the budget this year, and still allow staff a whole year to look at more optimum ways. Every single resident I talk to says 1 works, but not well. So is there a way we can do 2 in front of their homes, and maybe it's not as good. I don't know, but some of the councillors have a lot more detailed oriented data, I guess, and experience than me. I'm not an engineer, so I'm just trying to do what the recommendations from staff was and try to come up with a solution for our citizens, right? So happy to support Councillor Bondi's as well.
Okay, I understand it now.
Yeah, go for it.
So I think, Councillor Bondi, if you put and potential for modifications and additional applications, maybe that piece, because I like that piece, I really like that piece, onto the other one. So then we continue to look. So at RFP time, we don't have time to get that all done, but through the year, as we progress through this, we're still leaving it open for, some modifications and again, way we do things doesn't always have to be the same. So that's what I guess I like that.
Yeah, sure, that works for me.
Okay. Are you good? I still got a list. I'll go back to you at the end.
Oh, yeah, just at the end.
Okay. Councillor Wright? Oh, and your mic's still on, Councillor Bundy. Oh, thanks. Councillor Wright?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. By changing and picking which roads to do and not to do, in our first motion, it was laid out what we were going to do, and we're going to do it twice and thorough. By saying, well, we're not going to do this road, that road, then that starts, well, why isn't this road getting done? That's where the arguments start again. And I can see that being a problem because some roads have no houses on them, but they use them to cut across. So you're back to the arguments again. Thank you.
Councillor Finn? Sorry, I can't read my.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just procedure. You stated that council has a way to bring it in so that it's area rated. Is that a budget, being that the motion now states it will be a base budget entry?
I'm thinking procedurally, is that a council meeting or a budget meeting? Area rating would be at a council meeting. So I think there could be a notice of motion at the next council meeting for us to bring back a report on what the tax impact, council would have to define what they mean, just non-urban areas, or what if you're at a paved road on a rural area? Are you just doing it gravel roads? Like, it's gonna get really, you could have all, we have the highest number of, I have to go back to this, we already have 3,000 different tax rates in Chatham-Kent. It's the worst in Ontario because we area rate every little thing to every little community differently. It's crazy. We should have under 400 rates, but we could have a rate for every single gravel road out there if council wants to go there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other? Councillor Harrigan, Councillor Story, Councillor Jubenville. I think that's how I saw those hands come up.
I feel like yelling bingo. I just wanted to caution around the area rating to our CFO's point, but also, like, if we move to area rating services for just people who live on gravel roads, one, that's a large cost for a service for not a lot of houses in Chatham-Kent. And two, you can't control, just like you can't control who benefits from streetlights or whatever, right? Like, there's certainly an opportunity for us to reduce the number of area ratings that we have. And I think this one, we just need to decide, like, are we a rural community and everybody's sharing the cost of this service, or are we, removing this service? Because once you get into area rating, it's just, there's a risk that, one or two houses could be paying for benefits that people who are traveling across all of the rural areas could be benefiting from.
It's probably a good discussion about transit, street lights, and a whole bunch of other things that are currently area rated. I think I said Councillor Story, then Councillor Jubenville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate Councillor Sakatchi's explanation for his motion. I was just personally thinking a little more long-term, which is fine. I mean, they're both approaches are valid. So if we did this as a pilot or in a different way, but we'd still need to find it for base next year, because I appreciate that staff had not brought it back. They did not recommend it, but it appears that every council is going to likely have this conversation. So if we had to find it in base for next year, what would next year's tax rate look like? We're at 8.18 right now, correct, for next year?
Sorry, is that for this one or for the other one? For this one? For the full 1.4 million or for the 1.1 million?
For the 1.4, thank you.
1.4?
Yeah.
I said 0.66 a couple of minutes ago, but I've been corrected, it's 0.67. So it'll be 0.6, if you funded it one time, like, if, it doesn't sound like a pilot project to me if we're just saying, cancel what we did last year, go back to the way we were 2 years ago, and then with what's that at the end, come up with other options for additional applications with a user pays system perhaps, or something else to develop over the next 1, 2, 3 years. I wouldn't recommend buying down the budget from reserves this year if you fully plan to at least keep this one base application permanently now anyway. It'd be much better for the citizens to understand that it just goes back into the base this year and you're done with it. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I appreciate Edward's point about the challenges of trying to figure out the parameters of what another option would look like. So
So, sorry, to answer the question, in 2027, adding 0.67 to the 8 point whatever, I think was the question.
That was my original question, but I appreciate the additional context.
Yeah, just when I mentioned this 8% 9% next year, I haven't given exact percent because it changes all the time, depends on as we make base budget cuts, it actually changes the calculation. It's always a rolling number here, so. But we're in that 8-9 range currently.
I did have a, Councillor Jumonville.
Thank you, Chair McGregor. I have two things. I'm confused about this. I don't really understand. Can you?
Sure. So it's just removing Councillor Sakachi's previously approved motion.
Okay.
And reapplying the program as it was 2 years ago at a cost of $1.457 million in base budget.
Oh, rescind. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't
Rescind
see
that
the
first thing
rescind.
we did.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Rescind it. Yeah, no worries.
Sorry. There's a glare on that word. Okay, I apologize, but thank you for clearing it up. And I just want to acknowledge Councillor Sakachi. I know what you were trying to do. You were trying to find a balance, and I appreciate that. I spoke to a couple of farmers today, and I told them that's what you were trying to do. You were trying to make it so that there was some dust suppressant and there was some savings. So I totally acknowledge what you were trying to do, and I appreciate that. And I just wanted to, I just reached out just to confirm that dust from gravel roads can negatively affect crops in Ontario by reducing sunlight exposure, which slows growth and photosynthesis, and can also introduce toxic elements that are harmful to plant biology. Dust can alter soil moisture, decrease biodiversity, and contaminate surrounding soil and water sources. So I know some people are referencing the roads that don't have any residences on them, but they have crops on them. So if we were to eliminate dust suppressant on those roads, it's going to affect the crops. So I don't think we should pick and choose what roads we, unless there's a road that literally goes to nowhere, has no residences on it and has no farms on it, but I don't know that those exist anywhere. But I just think it's a good idea that we just stay with what we had before and don't pick and choose what roads we do. So I think we should just stick it out with what we had. That's all. Thank you.
Councillor Doyle?
Thank you, Chair. I will be supporting this, as I said before. I appreciate, again, what Councillor Sakachi was doing with the two applications. I think really the thing that would make the rural community happy is probably do every road once and do in front of their houses twice. So if that can be one of the modifications, just to price, I'm not changing anything here. I just mean for when administration brings back stuff, that might be something to look at, just the costing of what that would cost to do. But for right now, I would support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I go back to Councillor Bondi, I just did have a question. This is to Edward or Ryan. So if you're thinking of the two programs, the reapplication one time everywhere in the community, or the Sakachi program that is a different service, do you gain more new insight from repeating the same program or for doing it a different way? So if we're trying to figure out a better way to do something, do you gain more information from just doing it the same way we've always done it or from taking a new approach?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Probably no one's going to like my answer, so I'll start out with that. The metric. What is the metric that we will consider to be successful in this program? Because right now we're basing it on complaints. We had hundreds of complaints when we had this level of service prior. We had hundreds of complaints when we didn't have any service. And I can guarantee you will have hundreds of complaints no matter what option you pick tonight. So what is the metric in terms of how we consider this to be successful? It's going to be very hard for us to take a scientific approach and determine how effective one or two applications are going to be. It could rain the next day, and I've said this in the past. It won't be effective at all, right? So it's too many parameters in here in terms of how do we consider this to be successful. And the worst parameter to use in terms of success is the number of complaints.
Okay. Do we have any other comments before I go back to Councillor Bondi? So I appreciate Councillor Sakachi's motion. I appreciate a lot of the comments around trying to have some innovation. I lived out in the country for 25, 30 years. It was always very dusty, lots of complaints when it was applied. I think a best practice would be to try something different and evaluate it. So I was supportive of Councillor Sakachi's approach. So in my mind, we got two options. Do it the same way we always did it, or do something different, see if it works out, If it doesn't, it can always be put back the other way. So I think that what residents expect of us is to look at the best way to do things. Sometimes that's trying something new. I appreciate the approach that was taken to do that, and I appreciate a lot of the comments. Appreciate the feedback from the community. So I won't support this one. I was happy to support Councillor Sakatchi's, and I hope that's the approach we go to. And I'll go back to Councillor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. The reason that I brought this back is I like it, but I really wanted to give, and that's the beauty of the budget process, is to give council the option. Because if this wasn't presented, then that option wasn't available. So I won't take it personally if it fails. Not that anybody cares, but I think it's important that we have the option to either choose one or the other. And the other thing that I would just like to be clear about, because I've heard a couple of comments of, well, if we go for this and, we're going to have a 4.7% increase. Well, I don't agree with 4.7%. This is 0.66 or 6.7, if I can say that for my kid. So this is, not everybody gets that, but this is 0.6. So by voting in favor of this isn't voting in favor of a 4.7% tax increase. This is literally a fraction of that. So, and again, I like Councillor Sakatchi's idea. I think it offers more flexibility than this, and I appreciate what Councillor McGrail brought forward, that this is limiting, and unfortunately we have to be so specific about what we're, the language that we choose, because I think everything should be modified if there's a better way to do it, and that's not coming from me. I don't apply dust, I don't even live in the country. So this is a tough one, but anyway, I'll respect whatever council says, so thanks, that's it.
With that, I will call the vote.
All votes are in. Motion passes 10-7.
I made a lot of scribbles on this page, so I can't remember where I'm at. I think I had Councillor Harrigan for a question, maybe?
There's nobody in line after me, right? Like I can't take a pass?
Councillor Doyle's in line after you,
All right.
so we can go to,
Yeah, I'll take a pass. I gotta.
maybe
think
he's
through
not in
something.
line after you. Maybe I wrote your name for something else. Apologies. Okay, Councillor Harrigan, go ahead. If you have a question. If not, we can stare at each other for a while and wait for someone to put their hand up.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass. I gotta think through something.
Okay, no problem. Councillor Jubenville?
Yes, I do have a question. Our reserves, obviously, we have interest that is collected on those reserves. What happens with that interest? Where does it go?
Yes, thank you very much for the question. So that's on our investment income. It's included in the budget, and in the 2024 to 27 budget, off my top of my head, we added at least one. We can look it up, but at least 1% of taxes, 2.2 million more interest income coming in. I think it may have been even closer to 3 or 4 million actually. So we'll get that number, but anyway, that's in your base budget for investment income.
Okay, so it's already accounted for?
Yep.
Okay, so we couldn't use it because it's already there?
Yeah, it's already there. We're already
Okay.
included it to
Okay, all right, thank you.
Reduces taxes by close to 5% by what our investment income is.
Okay, thank you.
Any other hands? Any other questions? Councillor Harrigan?
I don't have a question per se. I'm just looking to see if other colleagues have questions, but I'm wondering, I guess then, what the current tax impact is based on our decisions over the last 2 days.
We're currently at 4.63.
So then let's test the waters here. I will make a motion to move the budget at a tax impact of 4.63%.
Seconded by Councillor Anderson. Okay, we'll get that up on the screen. Any other comments? I'll go to Councillor Scotchy first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure if it's possible through the process, but is it possible to go counselor by counselor to see if there's any additional cuts before we do this? Because oftentimes what happens is people say no, but there's no other suggestions. So just curious if we went council by council to see if they have any other individual things before they say no.
Yep, I'll go to hands first, and then I'll just go around to make sure everyone can give me a yes or a no if they got anything else to bring. Councillor Story?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Would it be possible, Gord or Steve, to put on the screen before that how much we're pulling out of reserves for this?
Like to pay down the current tax?
Yeah, for all of the motions we had.
I don't think any of the motions pulled out of reserves.
The
Oh,
infrastructure, didn't that come out of reserves?
because that was the list. There was a Councillor Doyle motion that was out of reserves. We didn't end up passing any of those. Oh, did we? No, we didn't pass Councillor Scotchy's motion that was to pay. No, that was out of AMP. Yeah, they were all base items.
Okay, sorry. Could we clarify the AMP motion? Then I might have misunderstood. Thank you.
The one that's passed was to reduce by $2 million the base budget going into our asset management plan lifecycle funds. So it was a base budget reduction.
Right, okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, so I'll go around, make sure we got everyone. Councillor Hall, anything additional?
No.
Councillor Crew, anything additional?
No.
Councillor McGrail, anything additional?
No, thank you.
Councillor Wright?
No.
Councillor Doyle?
Well, if you're going to ask. What would it take us to get to, say, 4.49? 49. 4.49. So just under 4.5. We're at 4.63 right now.
Approximately 305,000.
I move that the 2000.
So, one second. There's still a motion on the floor. So we would still, unless Councillor Harrigan withdrew the motion, but I think the intention was just to make sure before we voted on it, that if we vote yes, we're done. If we vote no, we know what the other motions are that are coming, unless we want to withdraw the motion to accept the budget at its current rate. So that's just, we're just making sure that we know what other motions are out there, but we can still vote on this motion. We can still withdraw it. So I'll keep working my way around, but I know I got you down if it doesn't pass. Councillor Story?
I am not comfortable with the AMP motion, but I have no other suggestions. Thank you.
Councillor Allen, no?
No, I'm good.
Councillor Bonnie's not there. Councillor Jumonville?
I have nothing, although I supported any opportunity I could to reduce it, but most of them failed, so I have nothing else.
Councillor Finn?
Nothing at this.
Councillor Thompson?
I'm good.
Councillor Anderson?
Nothing for me.
Councillor Sakatchi?
I will move a motion forward that I did try previously if this does fail.
Councillor Harrigan, your motion, so we're good. Councillor McDonald?
Nothing to add.
Mayor Caniff?
No, I guess I worked with administration to get it, to cut a significant amount from the 8% we were at down to the 4.92%. And with that, I have nothing else to add.
Thank you. Councillor Bondi, I'll catch you up. We were just going around the table. There was a motion to accept the budget at 4.63. And Councillor Scott, you requested we just check in with everyone to see if there was any remaining motions coming forward if this vote were to fail. So I asked everyone. Councillor Doyle maybe has one. Councillor Scott is going to bring back a previous one if the budget doesn't pass. And so we're just confirming if you had any other motions you planned on bringing forward with this.
Nothing that would pass, so.
Councillor Story?
I fully appreciate the discussion. I think I would still be interested in hearing Counselor Sakachi's and Counselor Doyle's suggestions.
So Counselor Sakachi's was just to try the same motion we already voted on, that didn't pass. It was to fund the, can't remember the name of it.
Gravel roads conversion.
Oh, I see.
And that's why I wanted to be very articulate
Yep.
to, in all fairness to Councillor Harrigan, letting you know this was a motion that was already on the floor and
Yep.
did previously fail, just out
Okay.
of, yeah.
Counselor Finn?
Just a quick question, because I know I'll be asked. At the 4.63, what does that mean on the average CK home?
We'll get that.
Okay.
It'll just take a second.
Counselor Dole, you had a question?
I will also gladly bring back my motion that failed yesterday.
Okay. Okay, so we'll just take a brief minute to get that number back.
Allison asked me which one that failed yesterday, so.
It was the reserve motion,
It would
right?
be the reserve one with the
Yeah,
whole bunch of
with the
different.
big list.
Big list, yeah, that one.
So we have $172 annually on the average house.
Thank you. Okay, so we have Counselor Harrigan, go ahead. No, Counselor Sakachi, go ahead.
Just, I do, if this does pass or fail, I just had a question, but I'm not going to ask the question and convolute things anymore. It's just about our reserve that I was talking to Mr. Brown about earlier, but I'll let this, entertain this motion first. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Budget Chair, it does seem like there is enough, I believe, new content motions that we're not done the conversation, so I'll withdraw the motion, just in the spirit of collaboration and conversation.
I like the new content term. That's a good one.
New content, yes.
So did we have a new content motion? Counselor Doyle, go ahead.
I move that the 2026 tax-funded AMP life cycle inflation be reduced by a further $305,000 to reduce the tax impact.
Second by Counselor Jubenville. Any comments on this one?
I'm having them double check my math before I commit to.
Just a calculator check, okay. So that number is correct, yeah. So we did have a question. Can you remind me the number that was the answer to Counselor Finn's question again? The tax impact for a average house? $172. So that's as of right now. What were we at the beginning of the night?
We are getting
Oh, you're getting to that. Okay, that's all right. You can get to that later. Comments on this motion? All right. Councilor Crew.
Just clarification, so to remove this, Gord, what is the impact of removing this from the budget, long-term?
So as we talked about a lot last night, a $2 million, you've already cut 2 million. And in fact, if you go back, what you already cut in the 2026 budget in 2024 and 2025, from what we asked for, we were already at a $53 million shortfall over the next projected 10 years. We added another $20 million shortfall when we cut 2 million. And now this is another $3 million shortfall over the next 10 years by this action.
So just to be clear, we're creating a bigger hole for the future for our AMP program. Thank you.
And I got those numbers back, slid to me. So the beginning of the night, we were at $147 for the average household. We're now up to $172 for that average household. If this passed, we'd be $5 less than that, $167 per household. So I think those are the numbers we were looking for. Any other comments, questions on this motion? No, that's for the average household. That's that 176,000 MPAC assessment 2016 household. Insert comment about government MPAC assessments. Okay, seeing no other questions, I'll call the vote on this one.
All votes are in. Motion fails 5-12.
Okay, Councillor Sakachi.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. McGregor, Councilor McGregor. Geez, I'm budget chair. I mean, whatever, maybe next meeting will be something else, but I'm sure we will be something else in a few hours regardless. I did have a chance to talk to Mr. Brown. One reserve, and I've never really attempted this aspect before, but one reserve I did notice on when we were speaking earlier. Can you just give me a quick summary, maybe just the council as well? Because the one reserve that I've seen is the tax stabilization reserve. So I know that is an actual reserve designed for stabilizing taxes. And I just wanted to see if you can just talk me through a little bit of a process. I know since we're not going to be using it for operationally, and this is the reserve that it's actually kind of designed for, to stabilize taxes, if you could just explain that to me a little bit, please.
Thank you, Mr. Budget Chair. So the tax rate stabilization reserve, that was created as part of the multi-year budget process. Administration originally recommended that we put 0.5% of a tax increase in years 2, 3, and 4 in that reserve. It was cut as part of the 2024-2027 multi-year. So last year for 2025, 0.2%. This year for coming into 26, it's 0.35, and then the last year for 27 would be 0.5. So with that base amount that's gone in, or that is going in 2026, we have already, we'll say, harvested that, knowing that the intent of it was really to address these new items that came forward as a result of the multi-year budget. So in the future, it's a great tool to be able to use as things come up. That's the intent of that reserve. There is one-time funding in there right now. That's any one-time item that comes up, that would be great. But there is no current base funding to be able to use for projects. But that being said, next year, there may be. If there was no new requests, there'd be 0.5 for the 2027 annual update. That could be taken in to lower the budget.
So if we used some of that this year, I understand that it wouldn't be, so we would still have to replace that from the base, just because it is actually doing what it's intended to do. Because my guess is if you're able to implement that next year, and that's exactly what it's designed for. So if we actually stabilize some taxes this year, although I know it wouldn't be something that you would recommend, it would still be the intent and utilization of that reserve. It wouldn't be actually buying down a base, because how much is actually going in this year to that stabilization reserve?
So the intent was to put, for 2026, we'll
Correct.
say, was to 0.35%. But with that being said, that's already been with these new requests that have come up. So there's zero base funding going in for 2026.
So, and you cannot use any of that, that funding that's in that
So-
reserve for anything, just to actually make a motion to stabilize the rates by 300,000. See where I'm getting at? If we actually use that to stabilize, it's actually being utilized for its intended use.
Yeah, we've already used it to stabilize by 0.35.
So the reserve zero. So that has nothing in it then.
Yeah, so it does have one-time funding that we've put in there to address one-time issues. I think there's about just over 3 million in that reserve currently. And so as one-time items come up, it is a great tool for council to use as part of the budget process. But when you're looking at base budget, it really goes back to the reserve conversation that we normally have. But it does have that caveat that in a budget year, if there was no requests, you could use that to lower the taxes if council wished.
So that's this year too, correct?
It is, but we've already used it.
We've run out of one-time spend.
Yeah, gotcha.
But yes, you are correct, but we've already used that to lower it to where it is.
Okay, I understand. Now, I mean, I know it was very close the last time, so I am just going to move that, that the business case for the gravel road conversion program acceleration 2026 base of $157,050 be funded from the 1.5% AMP allocation. Recognizing we've already had the conversation, I know it was close the last time, but I did not anticipate us getting closer to 5% this year. Then I was hoping to get closer to 3.5 instead of 5, but we've actually went the other way, so.
Do you have a seconder for that? Councillor Finn? Any questions? Mayor Canna?
Can I just, to clarify, this sounds like it's the same motion, just like we had just turned down that we're just changing what the title is of it. So instead of taking 305,000 out of capital, we're going to take 157 out. But it's called something different, just to clarify, Gord.
Correct, you would have 157, the previous motion for us to reduce it by 305,000. This motion is to reduce what you have available for all your capital asset management plan by 157. So yes, it's the exact same motion in what it, and the impact to all the projects that we are going to do. It's the same type of motion except for 157,000.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, I will call a vote.
All votes are in, motion fails, 7 to 10.
Councillor Harrigan.
I'd just like to bring my previous motion up on the floor that council adopt, or that the budget committee adopt the 2026 budget at a tax rate of 4.63%.
Second by Councillor Anderson. Any other questions, discussion? We already did our roundtable, so I'll go back to Councillor Harrigan.
Thank you. I recognize certainly that at budget time, everybody is really looking through the binder, the online portal. Further kudos to the finance team for the online portal. The search function has been really helpful this budget process. And just, really, we do have a lot of conversation at budget, and we do have a lot of agree to disagree moments as a budget committee, but I think ultimately we as a council made some really positive financial decisions. We didn't borrow from reserves to fund base funding, so that's a really great practice. We made a difficult decision to put something back into base budget to provide a service that really helps with stability, I think, for rural residents and community members, and gives some clarity on that. And then there's a lot of great things in the budget that we didn't talk about because we've shifted instead of going line by line and looking overall. I think, for folks in the community who take a look at this budget, in some detail, they will see that there are a lot of really positive things that the municipality is doing for our community that can be found in this budget while keeping it under a 5% tax increase. So just wanted to end there, and we will see how this vote goes.
Any other comments? Okay, with that, we will call the vote.
All votes are in, motion passes 10 to 7.
Okay, just before I read this next motion that we will switch chairs for, I did want to thank the budget team and administration for their work over the past number of months and for the mayor's direction on the budget. So I know as much as we did some work this past night and a half, there was a substantial amount of work over the last number of months, diligent work that made this process easier. I want to thank the public for their input and feedback into the process as well, which is always really important. I think this concludes my second round as budget chair. So thank you to the budget committee. Especially want to recognize some of the councillors that worked really diligently at this budget. I know we got an email today that said they thought Councillor Scotchy was in charge of the budget, which I think was actually a compliment on the work that he did over this process. So I really appreciate that diligence. And so with that, I will change chairs and then we'll read out the next motion. I'll read that. Okay, so I'll move it. When someone seconds it, yeah. Okay, so just go.
All right. Councillor B. McGregor in your chair.
So now that we're in, now that we're in a council meeting, the motion is that Chatham-Kent Council adopt the 2026 annual budget as recommended by the Budget Committee and end Council's budget review, resulting in a 2026 tax impact of 4.63%.
Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Harrigan. Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll put it to vote.
All votes are in, motion passes 10 to 7.
Thanks, everyone. We'll need a, do we need a motion to adjourn? I see hands to adjourn. Councillor Scotchy.
Here, I just want to say one thing. This could be I know there's some people that's decided that this might be their last budget. I just wanted to say it was a pleasure, going through this potential last process with, everybody, and, it's been a slice, right? So this might not be the same people sitting around. And to Councillor McGregor, thanks for all your hard work. I know it's you take a lot of heat for doing this, and I just wanted to say, you never know what I'll have you here next year. So thank you very much to everybody.
Yes, and I'll echo that. I know the amount of work that Councillor McGregor puts into this. It's not just sitting here. It's a lot of work behind the scenes, working with administration. So thank you for your service for this. Appreciate it. And second, Councillor Scotchy. Second, Councillor McGrail. Anyone opposed to adjourning at whatever time it is? Seeing that, we're adjourned. Thank you.